Hey students, I hope you are fit and fine. Welcome in this online sessions of the 9th standard, and the lesson which we are going to take today is depending upon the basic system of our government. Now as you know that Indian government is depending upon the basic three organs, or we can say that organs of the government here. That lesson which we are going to refer today is also depending on the same way path of the organs of the government. So let's check it out, what is the lesson actually depending upon. So these three organs are actually correlated with the executive government, legislature of the government, and also we can say that the power which is actually functioning in the trio with the interrelationship with the government, or we can say organs of that also. It means that this government is actually depending upon the basic factor where we can understand that the organs of the government is actually lying in their own powers of the systematic belief and the system which is actually ruling the government or running the government here. Therefore we can say that the government is into the power and the power is actually given from the public. Therefore we can say that this is functioning actually according to the norms and conditions constitutionally. So which is also divided into basic three parts here. We can say legislative, executive, and that is executive department also, as well as we can say that the judiciary too, which is very important organs of the government. Judiciary which is impartial, and we can say judiciary in India which is also independent. So therefore this lesson is depending upon the basic detail theory of this organs of the government, where I'm going to teach you about the detailed concept of the organs of the government here. So now my dear student, you need to focus that is on the page number, as I made you to understand lesson number 10. So the page number is 73, and you can check it out. The first para itself says that the objective of a nation is to maintain the law and order. Now what is law and order? Law and order means whatever is happening in the country, whatever is depending in the country, whatever is progressing in the country is accordance to the welfare of the people, welfare by the people, and welfare to the people too here, in which we can say that the center of the power is lying inside the central government. Therefore we can say all the states, commissions, the department, and the judiciary is actually beneath the center of the, we can say, government, that is the central government too here. So focusing in this lecture, we need to understand that for the progressive development of a nation, the state is necessary to abide of all the features of the constitution. Along with that, cooperation, then we can say that mutual understanding, and government must work according to the legislature wise too here. So we can say that executive and the judiciary system is also directly or indirectly affecting the nation in a positiveness also. So therefore we can say that judiciary means the executive, and the laws which are actually framed here are accordance to the growth of the people, their we can say their belief over the government, and also their progress to the people and to the government too here, where we can say executive implement the framing laws and the punishment also, where the judiciary maintains the laws and give the judgment too here. So where we can say that this country, wherever we can say in India especially, this government is actually followed. Everything is possible to see and accomplish too here, and if the government has been not following the rules and regulation, or the public media is not supporting the government, then obviously the organs of the government will be consisting a big failure, and it will not further work to here. So that's how this lecture is depending upon the basic system of the executive, then legislature, and also we can say judiciary. There is a three parts basic of the government here. Now if we talk about the legislature, as per the constitution, my dear student, you must remember, see what I am teaching you, you must get the idea on that. As per the constitution, we can say that our parliament and the central assembly, or the parliament at the central legislative assemblies, are also accordance towards the state level, and they are working through that also, or that too here. Therefore we can say that executive as per the constitution, executive as per the constitution of India consists of president and a prime minister too here, and along with these two heavy bodies, we can say that cabinet ministries are also included here, where actually we can say they are actually working with the administrative system of this department here, where we can say that a central level and the state level is also working out here. Now if you don't understand the central level and the state level, then I would like to make you understand here, okay, all the states are according to the Indian constitution under the state, we can say, government, but the state government is actually under the central government, and central government is actually under the democratic level, or we can say democracy of the people. That's for we select the people, we elect the people, and it is our power also, like public power, where we are actually making any rule and breaking also any kind of rule. But before breaking or boycotting any rule, we need to get a proper solid evidence with the negative effect of that rule, then only it can be broken down. Otherwise otherwise it will be carrying forward here. So therefore we can say that in India we are having basic fundamental right, duties, principles, rules, regulations and state policies too here. See, somehow I'm making you to understand the detail, my dear student. Then I hope that you are actually noting down the details too and understanding this lecture too here in this online sessions here. Now let's talk about the more in the detail. See, the judiciary is a separate body. Judiciary is a separate body. It is an independent body, and also we can say which is an organized body from the government. As you know that the Supreme Court means the apex court is the top high level of the court of our nation, which is actually really supreme in the powers. And also we can understand okay, India is depending upon not only the one power, we can say that it is a composite power, means from the all directions of the we can say Indian nations, or according to the constitutional directions we can say that okay, the power of India is actually from the people and it is lying to the people and by the people also here. So if you talk about the India and Indian constitution, then we'll say that okay, Indian Union of the states, that no states, if you talk about the relation between the constitution and the laws which are already framed since from the primitive time of our constitution, then we can say that no state is actually completely independent and sovereign. So therefore the Indian parliamentary system has divided the powers according to the principles and the divisions also, where we can say that these divisions are actually falling into the power between the central legislature to here. Such an executive is also totally, we can say that such that executive is totally independent in each other directions according to the state-wise policy, and therefore we can say that okay, whereas the judiciary, if you talk about, is actually separate from the different kinds of relation with the other statics and policies too here. So therefore judiciary is actually impartial and it is an organ which is also very much independent here. And judiciary of our country is the only, we can say that, backbone where the people are actually trusting and people are also supporting the nation, because they are observing the judiciary in India is independent, impartial, and it is not like the corrupted matter, or it is not like other corrupted solutions of our system here. Therefore if we talk about the other thing, then we'll talk about the basic relation between the powers of the principles and division powers also of a state and the central policies too here. So now see, one thing we need to understand in the principles of the divisions of the power, that the government carries out the basic fundamental functions related to the state policy. See my dear student, listen this lecture very much clearly, otherwise you will not understand. Government is actually dividing and giving the power according to the state policies. Now according to the states, there are different kind of the states, and they also power varies into different another with the states too here. Means each state are having different power, but all the powers are actually lying under the central government policies and the norms of constitutional rules and regulations only. Therefore we can say that the function of all the government of the states are different according to their functions and their requirements as well. If you go more further, then we can say that all the powers and requirements and the functions are done under the expertise of the, we can say, organs which is already developed accordance to the constitution, and therefore we can say that administration by the different people can make the, we can say, power and policies accordance to the state quite different, but they cannot go against the law and order. Therefore we can say that by devising of these powers, means by the division of the power, misuse can be also avoided out here. Therefore we are dividing these powers into the block wise, and laterally we can say it is also necessary to divide the powers between those organs who are actually according to the government and in order to make the functions too here. Therefore we can say that for example, if you take the example, then we will take the legislature assembly. That legislature cannot misuse the power. Similarly we can say that executive is controlled by the government, as well as if you go more further, then we can say judiciary, and judiciary organs is controlled by the given power to the executive, to the legislature and the executive also, where we can say that judiciary of India is independent. Now if you are not understand, my dear student, what is the legislature and what is the legislative assembly, then here I would like to make you a very detailed clarification about the legislature. That here legislature means the India is a republic country, that all we know. Okay, first of all, just assume India is a republic country. Indian nation is republication of all the people here of India and the citizens here. Therefore we can say that actually it is having a democracy related with the parliamentary organs. It means India is, according to the republic, it is having a parliamentary democracy in which the representative of the people at the center is seen inside the parliament. Now, who are the representative from the people? We can say MPs are there, MLAs are there. They're the basic representative, and we can say the member of parliament are also the representative from the people. They represent their problem according to the state, zone or their own areas here. Therefore, we can say that is legislative assembly. Now, if you talk about parliament, the parliament is a very important organ, and we can say it is important and the apex organ of the nation. Apex means same like it is the supreme organ of our nation. Apart from that, we can say the Indian parliament consisting of the president, as I made you understand, vice president, then Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, there is upper house and lower house, and also we can say that legislature assemblies, which is actually divided into basic two types. I am trying to make you understand very slowly, my dear students. See, legislature is also divided into basic two parts. Now, what are they? One is unicommercial, and we can say, you can also say like unicameral legislature, and one is bicameral legislature. Now, what is unicameral legislature? When the legislature is consisting one, or we can say that just one house, then we can say it is called unicameral legislature. Now, when the legislature bicameral, which is consisting more than one house, okay, two houses, then it can be said as the bicameral. Now, if you are thinking that which kind of house I am talking about, then I am talking about the upper house and the lower house, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Therefore, we can say that a council of the ministry has been also we can say established there, so that the functioning of the legislature assembly and the legislative department into two sections, that is unicameral and bicameral, must be studied well, followed well, and proceeded well here. Therefore, we can say that under down, we can say on the page number 73, you will get the more detail related to the central of the legislature also. If we talk about the upper house, you know, with the upper house here, you must know about the upper house, my dear student. So we can say that in the accordance with the upper house of the legislature, it is actually called the Rajya Sabha. So that is the upper house. Same as the lower house is actually called the Lok Sabha. And at the state level, let's talk about the state level. At the state level, the legislature consists of legislative assembly and the legislative council only at the state level. Therefore, we can say most of the states are only having legislative assembly. They are not having any kind of legislative council. But the states like, we can say, if you talk about the states like Bihar, if you talk like states like Uttar Pradesh, state like Maharashtra, they have the legislative council too. But most of the states are only having legislature assembly, we can say like. So somehow we can say that these states are getting some of the extra benefits too here. Now, what is legislature assembly at the center level and what is its work? Okay, legislature at the center level, and what is the work of the parliamentary Lok Sabha too here, that we need to understand. As you know that Lok Sabha is the lower house of the parliament. The members of the Lok Sabha are representative. The members of the Lok Sabha are representative at the part where we can say that out of members selections can be also done there, or the members are also in the selected matter can be seated there. Now the seats are also somehow limited. So if we talk about, we can say that members of Lok Sabha are representative of the people who are actually elected, who are the member of parliaments are actually the member of assembly of the legislature, we can say at the center level, who are actually elected through the direct elections by the people. So therefore, my dear student, there are all 545 members of Lok Sabha. It means it consists of 545 seats in the Lok Sabha, and out of that we can say that 525 members and 2 members are selected by the president directly. So that's how we can say that president holds a different power and unique power here. And the president, we can say that, who is actually from the Anglo-Indian community. So now we can say that president is a very powerful part of our we can say organs of the government, as the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha too here, where we can say that the president addresses the meeting in the parliament, and also joint sessions are also holded out there, where we can say beside that 2 of the occasions are also held. 2 occasions means what? We can say that at the time president is never attending the parliament, but he is actually giving his conspiracies to the parliament. So who is actually holding the parliamentary assemblies? Are speakers are there, and we can say that ad hoc, we can say other judges are also there who are actually attending this sessions here. So therefore the president can summon both the houses, he can stop both the houses accordance to if he finds any kind of fault in that, and a bill which has been also passed through the reading, or we can say presenting documentary things in the both the houses of the assembly of lower sabha and the assembly of upper sabha, that is the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, can be also dissolved in the parliament. But if you talk about the parliament, it can also become act only after the sign of the president, as well as the Lok Sabha is not a permanent house, that you know that only the Rajya Sabha is the permanent house. So it is actually having the term of 5 years. After the 5 years, the panels of the people are changed out here, and it is not dissolved before the completion of the term to here. So this Constitution of India is quite interesting and complex to here. But if we talk about the different theories of the parliament, then we can say that parliament is consisting the special powers regarding the president and the members of parliament to here, where legislative assembly is playing a very important role in that here. Now Constitution of India, see my dear student, Constitution of India is actually supreme, and not the parliament is actually supreme. Parliament is actually working according to the constitution and the guiding of the constitution. Therefore we can say that hence the parliament has to enjoy its powers within the limit prescribed by the court. Some of the, we can say, limits are given by the constitution court, and therefore we can say that parliament can be enjoying the rules and regulations according to, but it should be working according to the constitutional norms and conditions. And therefore we can say if any law is framed by the parliament according to the voters and the votings also in the constitution assembly, they can be challenged into the court also, and they can be, most of all we can say, studied out to here that whether these kinds of laws, these bills must be passed by the getting the signature of president or not. And therefore we can say that then only the court can find and frames the law against the provisions and the constitution also. And the court can, if the court find that it is actually without any kind of progress of the people, without any kind of goodwill of the people, then court can nullify that document also, it can discard that too here. So that's how we can say that this example is depending upon the very conceptual theory of the application of this, you can say the application which is actually molded out into the organs of the government. And if you talk about the qualification, see what is the qualification of the member of Lok Sabha, let's talk it out. He must be qualified, my dear student. He must be qualified at least as a candidate to be elected inside the member of Lok Sabha by the democratic level. Now he can be male also and he can be female also, but first of all they both can be, whatever the gender is there, he or she must be holding the citizenship of India. If he is not holding the citizenship of India, then it is not allowed in our constitution, or it is not allowed by our constitution to make any foreigner people as a part of our Indian nation and the Council of General Ministry to here. So now if we talk about, okay, he or she should be not having any kind of unsummoned or insolent mind also towards the constitution, and he should not be actually employer of the central state also. Other than we can say that he should be at least of 25 or more than 25-year-old of the age, and therefore we can say that a president can dissolve the Lok Sabha on the council of the, we can say, other ministers too, and that is for the 6 month also we can be, it can be seen out, it can be done here. Therefore we can say that a member of any houses of the parliament can attend the proceeding cases of that houses, then they can vote also in the same houses even if he or she is actually not a member of Lok Sabha then also. And therefore we can say, okay, if you talk about the special Gujarat, see my dear student, if you talk about the special Gujarat, then we can say that okay, Gujarat has representative in the Lok Sabha around 26 members, and therefore the term of Lok Sabha is only for the 5 years, so the president can dissolve it before it's needed also if it is needed. So if the president is finding any kind of special theory on that, then president can dissolve this Lok Sabha too here. Therefore in the case of national emergency, in the case of warlike situation, in the case of national emergencies, Lok Sabha session can be extended more than 1 year too, means it can be going to the 6th year also. Therefore if the president actually dissolves the parliament, it cannot be challenged inside the court. If the president is giving its last decision, then it cannot be challenged inside the court. It cannot be studied once again inside the court regarding the matter of the theory 2 here. So if we talk about the detailed theory, then I will tell you, my dear student, that Rajya Sabha is the basic thing which you need to understand. As a Lok Sabha, I have made you to understand also. What is Rajya Sabha? See, we studied about the Lok Sabha and the Council of General Ministry 2 here. Now what is Rajya Sabha? Rajya Sabha is the upper house. This is a very common theory, but let's talk internally. Now Rajya Sabha is a upper house in which we can say that parliamentary is also working, and it is the house of parliament only. Therefore it is actually a representative house of all the states and the union territories of India. As we know that we consist of 29 states here. Therefore we can say that there are all 250 members actually inside the Rajya Sabha, and there are, we can say, elected members also who are directly elected or indirectly elected by the representative too here. So therefore we can say that the assembly of the states and the state policies are done under these kinds of Rajya Sabha and all, and union territories through the methods of equivalent, we can say, representation can be also studied out, or some kinds of matters and theories also. Now in all, if we talk about 238 members of Rajya Sabha are actually elected. Therefore we can say that rest 12 members are nominated directly by the president. Means special in the case 12 members are nominated by the president, and these nominations are, we can say, should have been special nomination also, and they must be having special practical knowledge, experience, and we can say that respect to the literature, then science, art and culture, sports and other theories also. Means the people who are gonna be elected directly by the president must be having the good knowledge in the entertainment field also, in the sports field also, in the history also, in the artistic field also, and in the defense field too here. So we can say that no any person can be the member of both the houses simultaneously. You can be either the member of one house, or you can be either the member of the second house. So that's how this system is actually working out. So I hope this lecture is making you interesting, making your interest more coming forward, my dear student. And if you talk about the qualification, likewise I said the qualifications of the houses of the other houses too here. If you talk about the qualification, then I would like to share you that, my dear student, to be qualified a member, a candidate of the Rajya Sabha, one has to be elected, like he or she must have a citizens of the India, and as I made you understand that he should not be actually a government employee taking salary and holding office at the profit level also. Now state Gujarat government, if we talk about the state of Gujarat government, has the representation of 11 states and therefore 11 seats also, and in the Rajya Sabha is actually a permanent house of the parliament, and therefore it cannot be dissolved, but 1/3 of the member retire every 2 years. Means whatever the amount of there, that's 1/3 of the member are changed every year according to the panel graph, and therefore we can say that Rajya Sabha is the permanent house, as I made you understand, and thus the tenure of the Rajya Sabha is more than Lok Sabha. It is going for 5 years, Rajya Sabha is going for the 6 years. So however we can say that the members are eligible for the re-election and re-nomination too after they are, we can say, like they have actually not got seat in the Rajya Sabha. Again they can make the interest for the upcoming selections and elections, in that again they can be nominated. So generally we can say that both the houses of parliament meet basically 3 times in a year in a session, both the houses, Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha, and in this session we can say that the budget session can be focused out. Now see in which sessions these two houses are meeting together, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they both are meeting into 3 sessions. ऐसे 3 मीटिंग में इनका आमना सामना होता है और तीनों एक साथ बैठ के कुछ ना कुछ जजमेंट करते हैं. मीन्स दोनों हाउसेस, लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा. तो ऐसे कौन से वी कैन से मीटिंग्स है, विच काइंड्स ऑफ मीटिंग्स आर देयर, विच काइंड ऑफ सेशंस आर देयर, वी कैन से budget session, monsoon session and the winter session too, including the budgets. So therefore we can say that the Vice President of India, by the virtue of his office, we can say, is also actually taking part in that, where the chairman of Rajya Sabha is also invited here, where we can say that the vice chairman of the Rajya Sabha is also elected by the members of Rajya Sabha from among themselves only. We can say that the first chairman of Rajya Sabha was also elected in the ancient time, whose name was Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. C.V. Raman. So therefore these are the basic thing in relation with the concept of our today's lecture, my dear student. I hope you enjoyed. This lecture is most of the complex lecture, but whenever you are listening my lecture, whenever you are seeing this video, you must sit with your textbook, therefore you can understand the detailed line in that. And in the second part we'll take forward this lesson into the detailed form as I made you to understand in the detail. Till then, you can keep care and keep revising. Jai Hind.